Hello, this is Bart Church, and I am a therapeutic yoga instructor. I was originally trained at Unity Woods Yoga Center in Washington, D.C. for 10 years under three different senior certified Iyengar instructors. And after 10 years of being an assistant teacher, I started teaching the Iyengar therapeutic sequences to people with chronic illness, chronic pain, um, and have been teaching those sequences for 20 years. I also studied at Mount Madonna Center in Santa Cruz, California. I worked in the Ayurvedic clinic there and studied under many senior teachers of Baba Haridas, and was lucky enough to study under Baba Haridas myself. And I just recently graduated from East West Yoga Center. And today, what I would like to do is offer Mr. Iyengar's therapeutic yoga sequence for people who are suffering from chronic pain in their knees, which could come from arthritis or minor injuries. And this sequence is not for people with acute knee pain or acute knee injuries. So if you're under a doctor's care or going to physical therapy and you already have a treatment plan for your knee issues, definitely talk to your doctor or talk to your physical therapist before doing anything in this sequence, or even before doing yoga at all. Because acute pain and acute injuries need special attention, and you'll trust your medical practitioners. If you've had chronic knee pain for a long time or intermittent knee pain, and you've never had a doctor look at it, I also recommend that you consult with the doctor and maybe ask for a physical therapy referral so that you can get some expert opinion. I make these recommendations because I have struggled with knee pain for a number of years, intermittent, and recently I got some acute knee pain. And I called my doctor, who's a naturopathic physician. He did an exam and made a bunch of recommendations of anti-inflammatories, and then sent me to physical therapy. I had a great physical therapist who's been giving me exercises and kind of exploring with me what's causing that pain. And then I went to acupuncture, and my acupuncturist is great, and they're giving me a different but complementary perspective. And then I've also recently seen a Rolfer, who is doing some really deep fascial realignment in my spine, in my hips, because as it turns out, knee pain is often a result of chronic kind of imbalances in anywhere along the whole spine or in the hips themselves. So while it hurts here, the cause is often in your spine, in your hips, and in how you hold posture and how you move in the world. So it's great to get a team together to help you figure this out. And then yoga can be a really great complementary exploration. And so I offer this class today as an opportunity for you to investigate what's going on with your body and what's going on with your knees. And so as part of that, I want to really encourage you, if you follow along with this sequence, to take your time with it. If I'm going faster than your body feels comfortable, slow it down to your pace. If I'm offering you something that is starting to feel uncomfortable or has some pain associated with it, back off and try a different variation. And for each pose, I'm going to give you some adjustments that you can try to make it easier or to make it less stressful for your body. And I encourage you to be experimental. All the variations I'm going to give you are not all the ones that there are. And if you need help figuring out how to adapt these poses to your particular knee issues, feel free to reach out to one of those experts or to a therapeutic yoga instructor in your town. and you can just Google therapeutic yoga or restorative yoga. Most Iyengar trained teachers are really good at props and helping people find alternative ways to get in and out of poses safely. I also want to encourage you to take a break throughout this sequence to listen to your body. So if you're the type of person that tends to be really aggressive and move fast and want to get it perfect, I really encourage you to inhibit those impulses, because at least in my life, that's how I've ended up with chronic knee pain, is I ignored my body's signals until finally it had to give those signals so loud that I couldn't ignore it. So in today's practice, be really gentle with yourself and take your time. How this class is going to unfold is we're going to spend about 10 minutes on 4 purification breaths. And those 4 purification breaths are going to calm the mind and calm the body and get us ready to do the more strenuous asana that we're going to be, or stretching that we're going to be studying. So we're doing those 4 purifications that are very traditionally used, particularly if you are trying to calm stress. A lot of pain gets worse when we're stressed. So these 4 breath practices are really good for relaxing stress. We're going to spend about 40 minutes on some therapeutic asana in a particular sequence that Mr. Iyengar, who's the senior teacher that founded my lineage, he gave this sequence for arthritis and knee pain. So I have abbreviated his sequence, which is much longer, so that it can be an accessible about 40-minute sequence. And at the end, I'm going to talk about some books and other resources that you can use to find out more about therapeutic yoga and this particular sequence. We're going to spend, at the end of the asana sequence, we'll spend about 5 minutes in a shavasana and healing meditation. And then, as I said, we'll go over books and ways to learn more. So thank you for joining me, and let's dive into the practice. And the way I'd like to do that is 3 ohms, which is a very traditional way of beginning to calm your mind, calm your body, and get centered. So sitting upright in a cross-legged position or in a chair, if this doesn't work for you. But I've brought my left heel near my perineum, and I'm bringing my right foot in front of it. I'm sitting up on a bolster. So I'm sitting up high enough with my sits bones up high so that I'm not uncomfortable in my knees. And then we're going to begin our Om. So take a nice deep breath in. So Om is a very powerful practice. The sound Om is actually 3 root sounds: ah, and So A-U-M. And you kind of make that sound, and what that sound does is it relaxes your exhalation and your whole body by making your exhalation longer than your inhalation. So whenever you get stressed, you can use Om to quickly calm down. So the first purification practice, which are also called kriyas, that I want to teach is something called Nadi Shodhana. And Nadi Shodhana is, in English, is often referred to as alternate nostril breathing. To do this practice, you're going to place your right hand in Ganesh Mudra. And so I'm going to take my first finger and my second finger and put it lightly on the palm of my hand. I'm going to take my ring finger and my pinky and put them together as best I can, and just gently have them move away from the center of my palm. And then the right thumb moves off to the right. So that is Ganesh Mudra. I'm then going to bring my right elbow up to the height of my right shoulder. And I'm going to bring my right thumb close to my right nostril. Then I'm going to exhale, block my right nostril with my right thumb, and inhale through my left nostril. Block my left nostril with my ring finger, exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Block the right nostril with your thumb and exhale through the left nostril. Let's do 5 rounds of Nadi Shodhana just to get really calm and centered. So exhale, block your right nostril, inhale left nostril. So Nadi Shodhana is one of the most powerful pranayama practices I have ever been taught. It is said to balance all 72,000 nadi channels or energy channels in the body and to profoundly calm the mind and body. So you should not do this practice if you have congestion in either of your nostrils, because you don't want to struggle. You also should avoid doing this practice if you're very angry or extremely anxious, because this practice will put that onto your breath and into your system. So there are simpler practices that can help relieve extreme anger or extreme anxiety so that you can get ready to do this practice. The second pranayama kriya that I want to teach is called Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati in English is usually translated as skull shining. And in Kapalabhati, we're going to use some rapid contractions of our lower abdominal muscles to force air out and direct the energy of that exhalation, of each of those exhalations, into our third eye, into our skull, hence the name skull shining. So to do this practice, you're going to inhale and then exhale, then a nice deep breath in, and then contract rapidly and in, relax, a brief inhalation that just happens, and then a forceful exhalation, and then forceful exhalation, contract, relax, contract, relax. We're going to do about 30 of those contractions and relaxations, directing energy into our third eye. So again, exhale, inhale, and begin. So when you're learning, you can put your fingers on below your belly button and feel yourself contracting all those muscles powerfully in, and then relax. Pull in, relax, pull in, relax. If you have a fever, high blood pressure, kind of an ulcer or other kind of acid in your esophagus or in your stomach, I would not do this practice. It's a warming practice, and so it can make fevers worse. It can make ulcers and those kinds of hot conditions worse. But in general, a little bit of this is pretty safe for almost anybody. So the next practice I'd like to offer is called Agni Sardoti. Agni Sardoti means fire washing, and this also is a warming practice, and it very very directly builds up your Agni, your digestive fire, and it helps burn away impurities throughout the body, including if you have any congestion in your nostrils. It's this practice, in my experience, will help get rid of congestion. So to do this practice, we're going to inhale, 3-part inhalation. And as we exhale, we're going to lean forward and place our hands on our knees. And once you come to about a 45-degree angle, you're going to lengthen your spine. And at the end of the exhalation, you're going to hold your breath. And while holding the breath, you're going to contract all your lower abdominal muscles up and in powerfully towards the center of your body. And then relax and pull up and in and relax, pull up and in, relax. And you're going to do that for as many repetitions as is comfortable while holding your exhalation out, while holding your breath. When you develop the urgency to inhale, just go ahead and inhale and come back up. Most students can usually do between 20 to 30 of these pulls and relaxations comfortably. So, but check it yourself and just see what feels comfortable to you. So sitting upright, exhale, 3-part inhalation. Exhale forward to about a 45-degree angle. Hold your breath and then pull and release. Then inhale and come back up. This pose is really good if you are having digestive problems, indigestion, diarrhea, just a lot of gas. So, because it does build up your digestive fire. It's also good if you've been eating a lot of junk food and you feel like you're kind of toxic or your liver's having a hard time. This is really good to burn away those impurities. The last of the 4 purifications is called Ashwini Mudra, and it's translated into English as horse seal. And in this practice, we're going to work with our sphincter muscle and the root chakra. And this is another really powerful way to kind of purify your lower chakra and also begin to send energy up your spine so that you can kind of calm the body from the bottom up, from the root. So in this practice, we're going to sit upright. We're going to exhale. We're going to take a 3-part inhalation. Hold your breath. While holding the breath, tighten your sphincter muscle and relax. Tighten and relax. Tighten and relax. Tighten and relax. Do between 20 and 40 of those pulls and relaxations of the sphincter muscle while holding your inhalation, while holding your breath. It's very important to only do this practice when you've had a nice, big, full inhalation. You want to bring abundance and fullness to the root chakra, which is your fundamental relationship with life. So you want to bring lots of full energy, the full inhalation to that. So let's practice. Exhale, 3-part inhalation. Hold your breath and begin to pull and release the sphincter. And then exhale. So next, I want to move us into the therapeutic asana sequence. Asana means posture, and these are what we traditionally think of as yoga poses. And the first of these poses is called Dandasana. Dandasana is usually translated as staff pose, and it's a fairly simple pose. I'm going to move back onto my mat to teach this. Um, oh, I forgot. To do this asana sequence, you're going to need some props. So the props you're going to need are a yoga belt, or if you don't have a yoga belt, get a regular belt. You'll also need 2 yoga blocks. You could substitute big books that are about this size. That can also work. You also are going to need 3 yoga blankets. And I really like these recycled wool blankets that you can get online because they don't attract water and they are naturally mold resistant. And they're also really dense fibers, so they really support you well. But you can use other kinds of blankets if you don't have the wool blankets. I also recommend getting a nice big bolster, and you can get these online. If you don't have a big bolster, you could use like the cushion from one of your a couch that's a similar size and ideally kind of fairly firm, so it'll support you. And you'll also need either a folding metal chair or a wooden chair that's really sturdy, and also a bench or a small sturdy table. So if you don't have those things, you might want to go and gather them, pause the video, and get whatever of that you can together so that we can move through this sequence. So back to Dandasana, which is staff pose. And this is supported Dandasana. So in Dandasana, you're just going to stretch your legs out in front of you, feet hip width apart, and pull the skin of your buttocks back towards the back of the room so that your sits bones are pointing diagonally back and down into the earth. And then activate your legs and spread the bottoms of your feet, pressing your feet into an imaginary wall. So you can press your heel, press the balls of the feet, and bring some blocks next to you and just begin to press into those blocks and lift your spine up. And see if this creates any discomfort in your knees. If it does, slightly bend the knees and just see where that comfort is for you in this posture. But what we're trying to do is press the sits bones back towards the back of the room and press them down into the earth while moving the heels away from the center of the body and activating your legs. And then activate your spine and lift the spine up, including the back of your neck, which is rising up and the chin drops slightly. So feel your pubic bone lifting up slightly as you press the sits bones back and down. Feel your belly softening downward while the floating ribs lift up. The sternum lifts up. The shoulder blades drop down and tuck slightly in towards one another to open your upper chest. Shoulders are moving downward and the neck is moving upward, especially the back of the neck, and the chin drops ever so slightly towards the heart. So that's Dandasana. And coming out of that posture, the next posture we're going to do is called Supta Padangusthasana. And it's a simple leg lift using a belt. And what we're going to do this posture, you're going to gently lay back on your mat. And let me move the camera so that we can see what's happening. There we go. So, laying on your mat, take your belt and have it handy. And then, as you exhale, gather your strength at your core, press your sacrum down into the floor, and then exhale the right leg up, bend the right knee, place the belt just below the ball of your foot, and bring the foot back up, activating your left leg and pressing the left foot into an imaginary wall. And then activate your right leg and press the right foot in up towards the ceiling, spreading the right foot, spreading the left foot. Feel yourself gently stretching your hamstring. Then, as you exhale, bring the right leg over to the right side of the body and use your belt to support you so you don't go too fast or kind of drop into this. You're just kind of stretching at your own pace comfortably and feeling your right leg moving away from the center of the body and up towards your right shoulder. Left leg is active and powerful, pressing the left foot into the imaginary wall. This is triangle pose, laying down. So Utthita Trikonasana, but it's laying down. And it has a different name, but because we're doing it on the floor, but it's the same kind of opening up of the chest. You take your left hand off to your left side at left shoulder height and have your left palm facing down, or I'm going to press my left hand into the wall so I can turn my eyes to look at my left hand and feel myself opening out in all directions from my center. Left leg moves out from the center, right leg moves out from the center, left arm moves out from the center. Then inhale, bring your right leg back to center. Exhale, bring your right leg over to the left side of the body. And if you need to, you can bend your right knee if this feels like it's too intense. And bring your right hand over to the right side of the body, palm facing down. And just come as far as is comfortable for you. And go ahead and bend your right knee just so you can kind of feel this a little bit more control. And see if you can stack your right hip on top of your left hip, turning your eyes to look towards the right hand and keeping your right shoulder blade pressing down into the floor. At any point, if this feels uncomfortable, back off and kind of calm your body and don't go beyond what feels comfortable for you. So just see what feels good. This is a very powerful stretch for the low back. It's also a very powerful stretch for the knee. And by bending the right knee, we kind of take some of the stress off the knee. Inhale, bring your right knee back to center and remove the belt. And gently, with control, bring the right leg down. Then bring your left leg up, bend your left knee, take the belt on your left knee, and inhale, gather your strength at your core. Exhale, bring your left leg over to the left side of the body and activate the right leg, pressing through the right foot, feeling both legs very powerful. Bring your right arm over to the right side of the body, palm facing down, and turn your eyes to look towards the right. Activating both legs, stretch both legs away from the center of the body powerfully. Inhale, gather your strength. Exhale, bring the left leg back up to the center. And take the belt
Now in your right hand, take your left hand off to the left side of the body, bring your left leg over to the right side of the body, and stretch as far as is comfortable, activating the right leg and powerfully pressing the right foot into an imaginary wall. If this starts to feel uncomfortable on your knee, bend your left knee, and that will make it easier on the knee. Turn your eyes to look towards the left. Try and stack your left hip on top of your right hip. But if that feels uncomfortable, just stop at any point that it starts feeling difficult and back off. And just kind of play with it, get a sense of what works for you today. And you can stop at any point in this process and just see where this works for you. Then bring your left knee back to the center. Take the belt off and re-extend, and then bring your left foot down. Then I'm going to bend my knees, roll over onto my right side, and come back up. And notice how that was for you, what changed in your body. So the next pose that we're going to work on is called Urdhva Mukha Janusirsasana, commonly called Janusirsasana or bent leg forward bend. And to do this posture, we're going to use a belt. And I'm going to have my right leg straight out in front of me, in front of my right hip. And I'm going to take my left foot and I'm just gently bring it up somewhere that's comfortable along the left side of my right thigh. And I'm going to take my belt and I put it over my right ball of the foot, just below the ball of the foot. And when you have knee issues, you might need to take a block and put it underneath this left knee. And you might even have to take 2 blocks. If the knee, and if the bend of the knee causes knee issues, you may want to lessen the angle of the knee so that it's not, so that the foot is resting somewhere else on your leg so that the knee angle is comfortable for you. I'm going to put a block here just kind of to make sure that my knee doesn't have any strain in this posture. Then I'm going to come back into the posture. Again, I'm going to move my sits bones back towards the back of the room. And I'm going to press powerfully back and down through my sits bones. And then I'm going to activate my right leg and send my right heel away from the center of the body, pressing my right foot into an imaginary wall. I'm going to inhale and gather my strength. Then as I exhale, I'm going to lengthen my spine up towards the ceiling. So I'm powerfully activating my right leg and I'm powerfully pressing down through my sits bone and allowing my spine to go up. If you can try and move forward into a forward bend. I have really tight hamstrings and I have knee issues, so I really can't do a lot of forward bending safely in this posture. Sometimes it can help to bring your hands behind you and come up onto your fingertips, and then that might give you a little bit more support for moving into a forward bend. But what I don't want you to do is collapse into the forward bend, so the whole spine is all rounded and collapsed. We want to think more about getting the spine up towards the ceiling while activating the right leg. And this really activates the hamstrings, which are often associated with knee pain. So tight hamstrings, a lot of people develop knee pain because of tight hamstrings. So this is a great way to start to relax those hamstrings by stretching them out and getting them stronger. So go ahead and lean into this to a point that's comfortable for you. And then let's come out of that and do the other side. So stretch out your left leg, bring your right foot next to the left thigh. Again, pick an angle of the knee that works for you. If you need a block or 2, put those there so that they support your knee, and bring your belt to the left foot, just below the ball of the foot. Activate, bring your left sits bone back towards the back of the room, pressing back and down through your sits bones and extending your left leg, pressing the left heel away from the center of the body. Begin to lift your spine up, bringing the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. If you want to try a little bit of a forward bend, bring your fingers behind you up on your fingertips. And again, activate your left leg. Really feel your hamstring stretching and see if you can bring just a tiny bit of forward bend into this. Some students can do a lot of forward bends. Feel free to go as far as is comfortable for you. I have really tight hamstrings. I bike all the time, and I've just shortened my hamstrings a lot. And I'm just working on that. So that is Janu Sirsasana, and some ways of adjusting. The next posture we're going to work on is called Paschimottanasana. And in this posture, we're going to use a bench. And I've got my little bench here. And Paschimottanasana is a classic forward bend. And I also recommend getting a blanket for this posture and putting your blanket on. You can use a small table rather than a bench, whatever height is going to work for you. You just want something that you can come into the forward bend. So I'm going to take my sits bones and press my sits bones back and down. And I'm going to activate my legs. And I'm going to sit up as powerfully as I can. I'm going to bring my blocks so I can lift myself up as best I can, activating both legs. And I'm going to bring my bench or table to some place that's comfortable. And then I'm just going to try and lean forward into the forward bend, not rounding my spine. So you're lifting the spine up, extending the entire spine towards the ceiling while activating both legs, spreading the bottoms of both feet and pressing them into an imaginary wall. And then if you can, go ahead and relax your head and place your third eye on your blanket. And for me, I'm going to need 2 blankets because my forward bends are so tight, my hamstrings are so tight, that for me to feel that comfortable place with my spine still lengthening, I need to have a lot of height here. You can also bring your arms up on this height and allow just a little bit of rounding, but really activate your legs. This can kind of start to really stretch out the hamstrings and begin to allow the thoracic spine to stretch. It's difficult for me. My thoracic is really tight, but the thoracic is this curve right here. So you want to try and lengthen that and get that as extended as possible and just kind of walk yourself into the forward bend. And you may wonder, what does the thoracic spine have to do with the knees? Well, my Rolfer has explained that when you're frozen in your thoracic, it causes your neck and your hips to do a lot of work to help you move that they shouldn't be having to do. And then that puts a lot of strain on the knees because the hips are having to be really tight and work hard. So this is a really powerful way to start to work on your hamstrings, which are associated with knee pain, and that kind of very common. A lot of people sit in front of computers all day, their thoracic just gets all collapsed. And so we're all kind of sitting there with our devices. And this is a way to try to lengthen yourself up out of that stoop and start to strengthen those muscles that keep the thoracic lengthening and kind of help slowly but surely kind of unlearn those habits. So that is a couple of variations of that posture. The next posture that we're going to learn is called boat pose in English. Let me get this out of the way. Oh. So it is called Panapurna Navasana in Sanskrit. and it's commonly called boat pose. And to do this posture, I'm actually going to use a chair. And so this posture, and I'm going to, because it's a metal chair, it's a little chilly on the edge, I'm going to put a yoga mat over the chair. And the basis of boat pose, Navasana, is to press through your sits bones and powerfully lengthen your spine up and back. And then we're going to bring the legs up to your chair and bring your blocks. And then try to stretch out your legs while stretching your spine. And this is a supported boat pose. So just press through your sits bones. Try and bring your weight up onto your sits bones as you press powerfully down into the earth with your sits bones. Move your spine back towards the back of the room and lengthen these legs. Try and straighten them as much as they will allow you. My hamstrings are really tight, so I'm not getting a full straightening here. But you want to engage the hamstrings. You want to work with them so that they do lengthen. And then you want to work with your spine, trying to move the spine up towards the ceiling and back towards the back of the room, pressing powerfully through your sits bones. Taking nice deep breaths. Okay. Boat pose. Great for building core strength, which is also incredibly important. A lot of times people with knee pain have weak abdominal muscles. And because the abdominals are weak, they're shifting too much of the weight into the deep hip muscles and then back down to the knees. So if you have a strong core, then the spine is holding the weight, most of the weight, and then there's less weight for the knees to have to deal with. The next posture that we're going to work on is called Uttita Martyasana. And Uttita Martyasana is twisting Lord of the Fishes pose. And we're going to do this form in a chair so that it's easier. And you're going to sit sideways on the chair. Press your sits bones down into the chair. Activate your spine and lift your spine up. Make sure that your feet are hip width apart and spread the balls of your feet. So you're making a 90-degree angle at your hip joint. And you want this whole pose. I keep talking about the sits bones. The sits bones are those bony points at the base of your pelvis. And you can feel them if you put your fingers underneath and feel around. You can feel there's a bony point that you're sitting on. That's called the sits bone. So we're going to press the sits bone down into the chair and back towards the back of the room. And that's going to immediately allow your spine to lift up. Once you have a nice long spine, then you're going to exhale to the right. And you're going to be twisting from your hips. First, pressing the sits bones down, especially the right sits bone, and turning your whole torso to the right, including turning your head to the right. Think about how you can press through your sits bones and lengthen the spine up, bringing the crown of the head up to the ceiling, spreading the bottoms of your feet and pressing your feet down into the earth. Inhale, fill your whole lungs, feel yourself get big and tall. Exhale and explore the twist. Move a little bit more deeply into the twist if that feels comfortable. Inhale, open up your chest, lengthen your spine upward, which is naturally what happens when you inhale. Then exhale, and you'll notice that you just soften and you can kind of explore this twist. Then slowly inhale, come out of that, and then let's do the other side. I'm just going to spin around and press through your sits bones, activate your spine, lengthen the spine upward. Make sure that you have a right angle at your knees, that your feet are spreading and pressing into the floor. Make sure your sits bones are pressing down into this chair And then exhale and turn to the left. Inhale, feel yourself getting taller, pressing the crown of the head up into the ceiling, and then turning to the left. Allowing your eyes to look over the left shoulder if possible. Only go as far as is comfortable. If you feel any discomfort or pain, stop and back off and be really gentle and listen to your body. Inhale, let yourself get as tall, pressing down through your sits bones. Exhale, explore the twist. And then inhale and come out of that posture. And then the next posture we're going to work on is, let me put this chair away really quick. The next posture is called Virasana. And this is going to be a very special Virasana because with knee pain, Virasana means hero's pose. And it's one of the classic 3 meditation poses in yoga. And it's believed that this pose is one of the poses that can get you to nirvana, get you to oneness. So it's a very powerful pose, but it's also very difficult if you have knee issues. So I'm going to take a blanket and I'm going to unfold it so it's nice and wide to give myself a nice cushion. And you might need 2 blankets for this, depending on how problematic your knee is. I'm going to take a bolster, and I'm going to put a bolster underneath, and then I'm actually going to take another blanket and fold that blanket in half this way, so it looks like this. And I'll put that underneath the bolster, because what I'm trying to do is build a foundation for my sits bones so that I don't have any knee pain in this posture. So, and everybody's going to have a different height that's going to be comfortable, because we're putting a lot of strain. You're bringing the knees together and you're bringing your heels wider than your hips, ideally. But that's going to put a lot of strain on your knees. So you can also take a block and put a block underneath here. So you're sitting up really high on a series of blocks or a series of blankets or a bolster. Whatever feels like it's going to be high enough so that you don't have any discomfort in your knees. The theory here is you want to stretch out these quad muscles. Quads are also very associated with knee problems. Tight quads they attach across the knee. And if they are either too weak or too tight or both, you're often going to end up with knee pain. So this is beginning to stretch the quads, and that can be a good thing as long as there's absolutely no pain in your knees. So get yourself up high enough that you can press your sits bones down. And I'm going to turn this. Yeah. So the next thing to pay attention to here is your spine. So press down through your sits bones and feel your sits bones pressing as much as you possibly can down and back towards the back of the room. This is going to allow the spine to begin to raise up. And make sure that you don't have any knee issues developing as you engage the spine. This is going to start to take the abdominal muscles and engage them. So you can even pull your lower abdominal muscles in towards the center of the body. It's called Uddiyana Band, and it's a solar plexus lock. And you can kind of take all those muscles and pull them up and in towards the spine, and that helps the spine to lengthen upward. And you can keep that lock engaged to help you remember to really allow the spine to go upward in this posture. Now, some people may develop ankle pain here because we're stretching the ankles a lot. If you do, you can take a washcloth and roll it into a tube and put that tube right where the ankle bends, right here on both sides. And that can help lift up the ankle a little bit to take some of that pressure off. So feel free to get some washcloths and roll them up. So we're just going to sit in Virasana, hero's pose. And
Just make it your own, avoid any discomfort, and take some nice deep breaths here. Let your pubic bone rise up, tailbone drops, your belly softens downward, and pull the belly up and in. And then lift your sternum up, let your shoulder blades drop down and tuck slightly in towards one another to open your upper chest and let your shoulders relax downward as the back of the neck rises up and the chin drops towards your heart slightly. The crown of the head moves always upward. So carefully coming out of that, just go ahead and sit up. And then what I like to do is walk forward, cross my ankles, and then come gently back and then out of this posture. The next posture that we're going to work on is Upavista Konasana. Upavista Konasana in English means wide angle pose. And again, here it can be helpful to either sit on a block, sit on a blanket, just get your sits bones raised up a little bit so that you have a little bit more flexibility in the back of your knees. So in this posture, you're gonna widen your legs really wide as they can comfortably go. Bring your hands behind you, come up onto your fingertips. And here too, we're gonna press the sits bones back and down. Powerfully pressing your sits bones back towards the back of the room and down into the earth. Then activate your legs and press your heels away from the center of the body. Spread the balls of your feet and press them into an imaginary wall. And engage your spine, lengthening your spine up towards the ceiling. Really feeling yourself engage that middle spine and try and let it lengthen with the rest of the body. Shoulders relax downward, shoulder blades tuck slightly in and down. Back of the neck lifts, chin drops slightly. And you feel yourself opening out through your legs. Your legs are really strong in this Upavista Konasana, wide angle pose for the legs. And your sits bones are grounding the whole pose, pressing down and back. And then coming out of that gently, let's sit in another great pose for the knees. It's called Baddha Konasana. And in Baddha Konasana, you're going to put the bottoms of your feet together. Again, I'm sitting on a blanket, so my buttocks is slightly elevated. You could sit on a block or a book if that would help you. You want to find a height that's going to make this easier for your knees. You also may want to grab some blocks or some blankets to support your knees if this creates any discomfort in your knees. So what we're going to do here is bring our heels as close to your groin as you can get them. The bottoms of the feet are pressing into one another. And then take your block and put it wherever it's going to provide support for your ankles or your side of your shin, so that these knees don't drop down too far and start hurting. So now, if you can sit in this posture comfortably with your knees hanging out, that's great. But a lot of people with knee pain, this is too much for your knees. So, and maybe after you're sitting in this for a minute or two, you'll notice that it starts to hurt. So just have your blocks handy and just put them underneath there so that they control the descent of your knees, and keep them so that they're not falling too far. And then obviously we're going to press through our sits bones and begin to bring a lot of awareness into your spine. Press your sits bones back and down, lift the entire spine up, come back onto your fingertips, and use your fingertips and your hands to allow your spine to lift up towards the ceiling.
Spread the bottoms of your feet and press the bottoms of the feet together, activating the bottoms of the feet and your sits bone. The sits bones are the foundation of this whole pose. So press down to the sits bone, feel your lower back lengthening, feel your thoracic spine, your middle spine lengthening, feel your cervical spine, your neck, the back of the neck rises up, chin drops slightly, shoulders are relaxing downward, shoulder blades are tucking in towards one another slightly, and the crown of the head rises. If you can, you could try putting your hands here on your feet and bring this into a forward bend. Now, a lot of people with knee issues, this is really not a good idea because it's going to suddenly start to create discomfort. But if you're one of those lucky people that can turn this into a forward bend, you want to not collapse your spine, keep lengthening the spine up towards the ceiling, but lean at your hips, lean forward into a Baddha Konasana variation forward bend. Again, try to activate that middle spine and lengthening, kind of flatten out the curve in that thoracic spine, in that middle spine, and feel your spine really powerfully engaging in the process of lengthening as you press down through the sits bone. And then go ahead and gently come out of that posture. You can take your hands and just gently bring your knees together and stretch them out and, kind of jiggle that a little bit so that you can make sure that we haven't gone too far with the knees. So the next posture that I want to work on is good old Shavasana. So we're coming to the end of our asana practice. And so I don't want anybody to do too much too fast, because a lot of times with my knee pain, I don't feel any discomfort while I'm actually doing postures, but then an hour or two later, the knee starts talking to me. And sometimes at night when I'm trying to sleep, the knee will really start talking. So you want to be gentle with your asana practice. You don't want to do too much too fast. And you want to really listen to your body the whole time that you're doing the practice. And then notice at the end of the practice, what happens a few hours later? How's the knee doing? And if you get some knee discomfort or pain during or after, it doesn't mean abandon the practice, but it means slow it down and get more props, get more support, so that you can really let the knees know that you're listening to them. So Shavasana, we're going to do a modified Shavasana. And there's a couple of modifications that you can do, particularly to protect the knees. So the classic Shavasana, which might work for you, is you're going to lie face up, palms facing up. Your hands are just kind of relaxed to the side of you. And you pick up the back of your neck and lengthen the back of your neck. Pick up the skull and lengthen the back of the neck. Chin drops slightly. Just rock your head from side to side. And begin to relax and feel the weight of your body melting into the floor. Now, if this bothers your knees, which sometimes it will, a couple of other options. You can bend your knees and place your feet a little wider than hip width apart and just let your knees drop so that they're touching one another. This is called neutral posture. And it's a very safe posture for low back pain. It can be a safe posture for knee issues if you get the angle of the knee just right. So, play with whatever angle feels comfortable for your knees, and just see if you like this better than where the knees are straight. Another thing you can do to help your knees is get a bolster or a blanket. Like this is a narrow bolster, or I could roll up a blanket into a tube, and you can put it underneath your knees, so that it creates a little gentle bend in the knees, and that can sometimes be really helpful. And then the last variation that I really love, actually, for Shavasana is bringing a chair into the mix. And you can put a yoga mat on your chair and then take your calves up to the chair and put your calves on the chair. And this becomes a really delicious restorative pose where all the blood and lymphatic fluid and inflammation from your knees is being encouraged to drain into your torso and into your brain. So it's kind of helping completely relax the knees and support them. And so I'm going to end class in this posture. There's a little bit more I'm going to do after this, but the active part of the postures are going to end with this. We're just going to kind of take some nice breaths here. Again, rock your head from side to side. Let your weight settle into the ground. Take some nice, big, easy breaths. And as you breathe, begin to get a sense of energy throughout your body and begin to scan your body for where are you feeling heat in your body. Which parts of your body are feeling especially alive in this moment? And then begin to notice where in your body are you feeling cold, or are you feeling like it's kind of a numb area or an area that just doesn't feel as alive. And just become curious about where is there coldness in your body, or where is there a kind of numbness or lack of aliveness. And if you find an area where it's cold or where there's a kind of a lack of aliveness, what I want you to do is breathe, send your next inhalation, direct that inhalation into that area of your body. In my body right now, my feet are a little cold. So I'm gonna breathe into my feet. And then I'm gonna exhale and I'm gonna relax my feet. And then I'm gonna inhale and I'm gonna send lots of energy into my feet. And I'm gonna exhale and I'm gonna relax those feet. And just this is a way of beginning to use your own healing energy to begin to wake up your body. So let's just try that. You might imagine that that part of your body is getting warmer and that blood is rushing to that area, and that uh, kind of chi is moving to that part of the body. Chi or prana is moving to that area, and just see if you can kind of wake it back up. And then we're going to use that same technique, since this is a pose about knee issues and knee pain. Let's focus all of our awareness and all of our breath on the knees. And let's pick the left knee first, which is where I've had a lot of my discomfort. And you're going to just put all of your awareness and all of your breath and all of your energy into that left knee and send it energy. And then as you exhale, let it just relax and surrender. And just accept the knee the way it is and just love it with your breath.
And then let's shift our awareness to our right knee. Again, inhale all your energy, all your breath into that right knee. And as you exhale, let the right knee just relax and surrender completely. And then go ahead and let's just bring our knees towards the center of the body and just gently squeeze the knees in and rock your hips from side to side. And again, if this creates any discomfort in your knees, just back off and don't put too much pressure on your knees. Just see what feels comfortable in this kind of gentle rocking action. Um, and then go ahead and roll over onto your right side. And then use your hands to gently bring yourself back up. And let me move this chair out of the way and get my bolster and my yoga mat. So that is an abbreviated form of Mr. Iyengar's knee sequence. And it has lots of variations. And there's lots of ways that you can use props to make this accessible for lots of different knee issues. And sometimes we have both low back pain and knee problems, and sometimes even neck problems. Because again, the spine is all an integrated whole, and if you get problems in one area, other areas compensate, and then that puts too much strain. So you may start with knee pain, end up with low back pain, and then your neck hurts. So this posture, it came from a book called Yoga, The Path to Holistic Health by BKS Iyengar. And it's a very famous therapeutic yoga text. It has great pictures. And that book looks like, at least my edition of this book looks like this. And you can see that each sequence has great full color photographs about how to do that posture. And there's individual pages that tell you exactly how to get into each posture and how to get out of it safely and how to use props to adjust it for different bodies. So this is an amazing book, and I highly recommend it. And you'll find this particular sequence in this book. Another book that I think is really brilliant is called the Ashtanga Yoga Primer, and it's by Baba Haridas. Baba Haridas was the founder of Mount Madonna Center, which is the yoga ashram that I studied at and worked with for 3 years. And this yoga primer has the 4 purification breaths in it. It also has a lot of other asana practices, and all 8 limbs of yoga are summarized in this great little book. Another book that I recommend highly is called Yoga for Healthy Knees. It's by a teacher named Sandy Blaine, Blaine, and it's a great deep dive into all of the modifications that you can make to help use yoga to heal knee pain. Another book that I really recommend is called Perfect Health by Deepak Chopra. Perfect Health is a great overview of Ayurvedic medicine, which is the kind of basis of therapeutic yoga is rests in Ayurveda. And so he gives you a good sense of how to learn what your constitution is and what's causing your ailment, and diet changes, herbs that you can use, asana and meditation and pranayama that you can use to treat various ailments that you may encounter in your life, including knee pain. The last book that I think is worth your time is called The New Rules of Posture by Mary Bond. And Mary Bond is one of the kind of leading Rolfers in the world. And she is revolutionizing both Rolfing and the entire study of posture. And that book is kind of one of her newer books that talks about how to deal with our chronic modern problems where we are sitting all crouched, looking at our laptops, and we're kind of collapsed, and we're looking at our phones, and we're kind of collapsing our necks. And we spend 8 hours a day or longer in these horrible positions. And she gives really practical tips for taking back your body's natural strength and flexibility when you're standing, seated, and moving in the world. And her exercises are aimed at ordinary office workers and what can you do in the real world to reclaim your kind of when you're sitting. How can you sit comfortably and sit in a way that works for your body? How can you stand? How can you get up from seated and standing positions? So those are some resources. You can also check out my Facebook page, which is called, on Facebook, just search for Integrated Healing PDX. And I have a lot of videos and resources that relate to all kinds of chronic pain, chronic illness, and trauma. And the focus of my yoga practice and my teaching practice is on working with people with chronic pain, chronic illness, and trauma. So thank you so much for spending this time with me and for exploring your body and your knee pain using some of these ancient techniques. And thank you to BKS Iyengar and Baba Haridas and all of my teachers for inspiring me to go on this journey of learning how to fix my knees and then help other people. Thanks so much.